fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I am here to share with you my thoughts on my "we have a handle on this" tips after having had a chance to work with them for a while. So, if you don't remember the unboxing, I will stick a card up there so that you can check out the unboxing. I bought their entire set of tips. So a single placer, a 2, a 3, a 4, the 6 is on there, and an 8 placer. And it came with this cute little diamond that holds all of the tips. So I had some other stuff filmed that I was going to show, but it was filmed so long ago, it kind of seems irrelevant now. And I know what I want to say, so I'm just going to kind of jump in. I will put a link in the description below to these. Like I said, I bought the entire set all at once because this is a company out of Canada. So I wanted to get all of them at once so that I could only have to pay shipping one time. You may choose to do it differently depending on where you're located. So what I have is a tray of rounds and a tray of squares. And I tried all of these tips except the single placer. Tried all of these tips on both types of drills. And what I found is because of their construction, the way that they're put together, they work much better with squares than they do with rounds, and I'll show you why. So here you can see basically these are the barrels that you would get in a single placer tip, all put together, and then the holder for it 3D printed around them. I don't know how they do it, but it works. Now, I will say that as far as multi-placing goes, I often struggle with anything bigger than a 4. 4 seems to be kind of my happy place for multi-placing. I've not had good luck with 6s. I've not had good luck with 8, 9, 10, anything of that nature. So I do find that they're a little bit easier to use sometimes, and I'll explain. So because of the way that they're put together, you try to pick up the drills, and you want to pick up 6 at a time. So, and I didn't refresh my wax, but hopefully you can see here, um, there's 6. And you can see in looking at them, pretty much each barrel has picked up a drill. And so I've got 6 of them on here. With the 8, I could pick up 8 and I would have no problem placing them down. So they work great for squares. If you do a lot of squares, then you will probably like these. If you struggle with doing some of the larger multi-placers, then these might be helpful. Again, even with these, though I was successful with both the 6 and the 8, I prefer the 6 and the 4. That those, again, just kind of seem to be my sweet spot. Now, then I tried them with rounds, and while they work with rounds, especially the smaller multi-placers, when you get to the 6 and the 8, it starts to become an issue, and I'll show you why. So here I have a tray of rounds, and I'm just going to try and pick up 6 rounds. And we'll see how long it takes me to get all of them picked up. I did not replenish my... Okay, so what you can see here, I only got 4, but what you can see is because the round drills are larger than the squares, they start to get offset. So you can see the first one and the second one picked up okay. The third one is a little offset. The fourth one is even more offset. And if I can manage to pick up 2 more, which I don't know if I'll be able to get all of them on here. Let me try. Because what happens is they start knocking each other off because they're not perfectly centered in the center of the barrels. So when you go to pick them up, the round drills, it just becomes an issue. Now, for the 6, I can pick up 5 just fine. But you can see if I went to go pick up that 6th one, it's going to kind of be hanging on the edge of that last barrel there, and it's just not going to be seated very well. And you can see from this side, the last ones here, especially the 5th one, you can see it is offset and not hanging on very well. So you can multi-place squares or rounds with them, but the smaller ones work better. So like if I use the 3 and I just try to pick up 3, it works fine. That is messed up because my placement was not. I don't have it in a pin, but let me try this again. They're going to be obnoxious today. I didn't refresh my wax in any of these. Okay, so there I got 3 of them. And you can see, looking at it, that they picked up pretty well, pretty centered. So when you're talking about the smaller ones, the 2, 3, and even the 4, you can get away with it. But the 6 and the 8, picking up rounds, just became too much of a hassle. I didn't have any issue with the squares, like I said. So let me switch these out and put the 8 in. Sorry for that obnoxious noise. So now I've got the 8 barrel. And you can see, because the squares are smaller, it picks them up perfectly. So again, if you do a lot of squares, these are awesome and amazing. If you do a lot of rounds, the smaller ones will probably work better. Just to avoid the issue of, they kind of get offset because of the way they're constructed. But I will say they're amazing for squares, and I definitely will be using them when I am doing some of my larger square canvases to multi-place, because while I have larger multi-placers in the plastic ones, I might even have 1 9 in the steel tips, but I just don't seem to have as much luck. These made it much easier to pick up and also to keep them in line when I was placing. So I have to say, I'm happy with these. I was afraid they would be a little pricey and they would not be worth the money. I was also afraid that they would break, because you can see here in the tips, well, maybe you can't, but those lines right there, those are layer lines where when it's being 3D printed, it kind of builds up. And I was afraid that because I am such a hard placer, that I would somehow crack these. Now, I used these with my Sweetie canvas, and I'll stick a card up there if you don't remember. That's the one that was the Indian Chief from Oraloa. I used them on this. I used them on my fan cells canvas, and I have used them on my Paint with Diamonds canvas. Now, the Oraloa was square, the Paint with Diamonds and the fan cells canvas were both rounds. So I kind of stuck to the 4 placer and 3 placer for the Paint with Diamonds because these larger ones were not working and they were rounds. But I will definitely be pulling them out again for any squares that I have. And like I said, even though I am a heavy placer, that's 3 canvases that I use them for, and they held up great. I don't have any cracking or anything to complain about as far as the tips go. So I'm actually really happy with the purchase. They are a little hard to load, so I probably will not use glue dots with these. I will continue to use wax, just because I think that will make it a little bit easier to kind of clean them out and things. So, because you can see here, I used some rhinestones, this on some rhinestones, so it's got some of the silvering stuck to the wax. But I think they were well worth what I paid for them, so I'm very happy with them. Again, they work better with the squares than they do with the rounds, but for a lot of people, if you do, if you prefer squares or that's all you do, then I definitely think they were worth the money, especially for someone who maybe struggles a bit with multi-placing. I feel like these keep them in line better when you're multi-placing because of the way that they're designed and the way they pick up the drills, versus when you're using the plastic ones and it's just kind of a tray where the drills sit. The drills have a lot more wiggle room to move around, and so your multi-place lines end up not being quite as straight as you want. I feel like I had more success with these tips. So that's my 2 cents on the We Have a Handle on This tips. Again, I will put a link in the description below so you can check them out. They are a Canadian company, so if you are in Canada, you might throw some business their way if this looks like something you're interested in. Shipping is shipping, so, it depends on where you are, how much it will cost you in total. I don't remember exactly how much I paid in shipping. I wanna say it was somewhere around $14, $15, somewhere in there. But again, I bought all of them at once, so that may be a factor as well. So, there's my review of the We Have a Handle on This tips. I hope you enjoyed it. Before you leave, guys, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.